Okay, the first gripe-ish kind of thing I've got between the Removu and the DJI Pocket Osmo is I can use the Removu connected up to a power source because it connects directly to its battery, and I can put this on time-lapse and run it for a day or whatever. And I can even put it onto a tripod because there's a tripod socket on the bottom of this. Also 2 charging ports so you can get a drop-in cradle for it. The DJI has the charging port in the bottom, so you can't stand it up. So you're going to have to figure something else out if you're going to do something long term, or make sure your battery is as charged as it can get. The battery's not removable, so you're kind of stuck with that. And that's another thing I do actually like about the Removu, is the battery is in fact removable. Whether or not you get another one, that's up to you, but at least you can on that. So that's 2 things that kind of go into the Removu's favor. Another thing I noticed is this jog knob right here. This lets you move the gimbal up and down. So to do that same maneuver to do an up and down on the Osmo, you have to roll up and roll down with a touchscreen, which actually, let me see. I'll fire this little puppy up. I got okay, reject computer connection. I got it to work fairly well this time around. I think I'm just getting better at it, but the last time I fat fingered it and couldn't even get it to tilt up and down. Oops, without taking another screen with it. So I did considerably better that time. So I'm done with that. And I'm going to fire the remote. Whoops. Gotta loosen the locks on this thing first. That was dumb. I'm just going to power that off and do that again from square one. Now that I made sure it's loose. That's something in the DJI's favor. It doesn't have mechanical locks. Okay. There we go. Now that's fired up. So you can see I can just rotate up. And I can also go from side to side panning. This will also bind up via Wi-Fi without any additional equipment, and I can trigger this and start it from a remote, as well as the aforementioned power thing. So those are features that I do definitely like about the Removu over the Osmo Pocket. And one of the things, disconnect the other cable on this too, without knocking it down. I'm going to do a little side-by-side on these guys. As you can see, there are obvious differences. Because, well, this pretty much disappears in your hand. And this pretty much doesn't. This thing weighs probably 4 or 5 times as much as this maybe. Not a real deal breaker, because for me, a heavier camera, a little more stable. One of the bigger deal breakers for me was the fact that you have to have the DJI software installed. Whereas with the Removu, you just right out of the box, fire it up and go once you've got your memory card in there. And we've got our memory card port on the side. Whoops, let me get closer. Something I did want to show where this doesn't seem significant, but it really, really is. So if I focus on that thing next to the card holder, if I can, you can see that it shows how the card's got to go in. It shows where the detent is. Even though you can't see it on the camera that well, I can see it in real life. Now with this here, there are no markings anywhere. So it doesn't show you, and you have the potential to put the card in a different position, which kind of makes me nervous because I could see people damaging it this way. And you also can't push this thing in flush. Come on, camera, focus, would you? It's so small, the autofocus doesn't even want to work on it. So I'm using my fingernail now. Nope, still not getting it. Nope, still not getting it. This is really irritating, and quite frankly, I would just assume, there we go. I would just assume they use built-in memory as opposed to these stupid little micro SD cards. Because when it comes right down to it, you can connect this directly to your computer and take the footage off anyhow. Which brings me to something bad about the Removu. The Removu, you have to have software if you want to download the footage, unless you take the micro SD card out. Which, once again, same kind of deal, where it's really terrible slot, and you're going to fight with this trying to get that card out of there. You would think that you could use the USB. You would think wrong, because that USB is just to charge the battery. That has no electronic connection to the unit itself, so you can't use the USB on here for downloading purposes, which is really, that's not great in my book. So I'd like to see like a combination of the features back and forth between the two of these. Like this little unit could use a jog knob instead of the touchscreen, because the jog knob, especially I had a friend of mine whose thumbs are about twice the size of mine. He was trying to use this unit and he was having a heck of a time just touching the things on here, because everything on here, do like its little dance when it fires up, requires a swipe in one direction or another. Some footage there recorded earlier. And a lot of these things I found that you can like accidentally change pretty easily without being able to change them back terribly easily. So I'm not super thrilled with that, but like if you had it set up already, or if you decide to use the application on the phone, it's probably a lot better. But a lot of times I don't want to use the phone. I want to just use the device itself. And this will not start up fresh out of the box without using the app. You have to go through a registration process. It'll probably take you at least 15 minutes, and you have to be connected to power to do it, because otherwise this thing's probably going to croak. Whereas this doesn't require that. But anyways, that's my first look, and because this is reverse world, I'm going to do an unboxing next. Bet you're wondering how I did that, aren't you? Oh, and my slides. Slide this mess out of the way here. So if you notice, this gimbal here is loose right now. If I fire it up, alright, so it's pretty well locked right now. If I shut it off, it goes into a nesting position, and you notice it's not moving at all. So it'll stay like that for a couple of seconds. Now you can see it went loose again. So it gives you just enough time to put that into a case, which I thought that's actually a pretty nice feature, and that's why this thing doesn't have a gimbal lock like the Removu does. So if I fire this back up again, and now I'm going to turn it off, goes into its park mode, and it fits right into its case. So that's actually a pretty good little setup. This was a B&H kit. I'll put a link in the description to this. I would really like it if this case had a better labeling on its latch. It's a two-part latch, so you can see the top's up, now the bottom's down. So in order to get this case open, like I said, not a big deal, but it's actually super cumbersome with one hand. Pop the bottom out, pull the top off, and then you open it up. Not a massive problem, unless you have one arm. Then it's probably going to be. Okay, enough of that.